So by this point, you should have some parts made. You may not be done, and if you're not done, that's fine. Doesn't really matter to me, okay? But hopefully you have at least some parts done, and we're going to look at how to assemble this, all right? So in your assembly tab, which unless you deleted it, there should be one. It's just, assembly 1, okay? I'm going to rename it. I'm not just going to rename it, car assembly. This assembly right here starts off blank, but you can insert with this button right here. You can insert parts from anywhere. Now, if you made all of your parts as separate tabs in the same file, then when you click insert, they'll show up right here. If you made them in separate documents though, or you just want to insert stuff from somewhere else, notice these other tabs. We have an other documents tab, okay? And then you could go find other people's stuff, all right? In any case, I'm going to plop some stuff here. Now, I did not personally make every part, but I made enough of them. So I'm going to plop a tire, a wheel, an axle, a connector. You can plop all your stuff. I would encourage you to plop things as you use them. Like I wouldn't put everything out. I'd put like 2 things and then connect them and then put a 3rd thing and connect it. All right. But this is enough for me right now. Now I'm going to click this green check mark to complete the insertion. All right. And I'm going to show you some things that you can do. Okay. Sound good? You say yeah? Yeah. All right. I'm going to start off with the axle wheel tire. You ready for this? So we already did this with the puzzle cube. You may recall that we used the planar mate, which is this one right here. We needed 3 planar mates to lock 2 pieces together. We live in 3 dimensions of spatial axes. Yes, X, Y, Z, up, down, versus left, right, versus forward and backwards. And so you had to use a planar mate times 3 to constrain each of those 3 dimensions. Yes? Yes? Mm-hmm. But there are other types of constraints, and some of them restrict the degrees of freedom a lot more than just one at a time. I want to draw your attention to the fastened mate. This mate does not always work, but when it does, it saves you more time than any other mate will. Okay? So I clicked on the fastened mate. It's the first one. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and put the axle into the wheel. So if I just click on this like circular part here, I'm clicking on like the outer lateral wall of this part that's going to go into the wheel. And then I'm going to like do the same, just clicking on like the lateral wall of the wheel, the inside. That's not too bad. Not too bad, is it? It's not perfect though. Like, it's not perfect. So like, I'll click the green check mark. You can see that like, that didn't quite go in all the way. But you'll also notice it doesn't move at all. This is like 100% locked down. We're going to try this again, but we're going to, instead of using surfaces, we're going to use edges. Okay, we're going to pick 2 edges that actually touch. So I'm going to go to the fastened mate again. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to line up this inner edge. You see, I'm choosing the edge. I'm not choosing the surface. That's the surface. Notice the orange on both the inside and outside of the circles. I'm choosing the edge. Okay? And then I'm going to go look at my axle, and I'm going to choose that edge right there. Yeah? Sound good? And I'm going to click. And that one, that looks much better. Perfectly lined up. Went all the way in. Yes, say yeah? Yeah. So you can choose surfaces with fasten, but I find with fasten, choosing edges tends to give you better results. You can definitely choose surfaces, but if you do, I would choose flat surfaces that are going to be touching each other. Like you could have done this surface right here, for example. But circular edges work really well with fasten. That was one single constraint that locked the axle into the wheel. Now, you can do whatever you want, but one thing you may find useful is to rename this mate and call it axle to wheel or something like that, axle slash wheel, axle plus wheel, something that is indicative of what it's constraining. Because if you don't do that, 10 mates later, when you realize you messed up or want to edit one, it's not going to be obvious which one's which. I'm going to do the same thing with the tire now. Sound good? Yes, say yeah. I'm going to click on the fasten mate, and I'm going to click on this edge right here of the tire, this inner edge, and I'm going to click on this outer edge of the wheel, this outer edge right there. Perfect. Now, if it went the opposite direction, remember this is black arrow, you can always choose to flip, right? So you can flip that. Yeah, we see that? Yeah. And now I have the wheel, tire, and axle 100% ready to go. If you did what I told you or had time to do it and you put holes in your wooden sections, it depends on your car. Like for me, the holes go in the front and rear section. That might be true for all the cars. I'm not sure. Is there any car where they go in the middle section? Okay. So your holes would be in the front and back section, which I didn't do. But you would probably want to do a fasten mate to get the axle into those holes. Sound good? Yes or yeah? Questions? Okay. Well, we're going to now do another one. We're going to do the regular strategy with the planer mates. Hello there.
Stop ordering stuff.
I'll blame
Yeah,
myself.
you have a problem.
We have a problem.
You have a problem.
I have a
This
problem.
one's for you. Look at all those boxes over it. These two aren't for you. You're not that special. Sorry.
Oh, but you're going to blame me for ordering stuff.
What?
Even though most of the stuff in that car is for other people, it's my fault.
I'll give
Okay.
you a nugget if you bring it.
Well, you order stuff so much that we come here like weekly.
I'll give you a nugget.
Maybe. Weekly trips.
Maybe you
If
should
I have to
pay
come
rent
back
just to
on
be
the
here.
call.
Alright. Thank you.
Take care, ladies. Don't die out there.
I'll try. I might be back.
So I'm going to join this connector piece to this piece of wood. Okay, sound good? Yes or yeah? Now, I'm not saying you couldn't use a fasten mate. In fact, I'll show you what I would do to fasten it. Okay? I would choose like this surface right here, this lip, and then I would choose this surface right here. And it does work-ish, but it doesn't line it up. You can see that. And there's no, like, it doesn't move around. You can't move up the fasten mate. I'm not saying you can't use a fasten mate, but it doesn't always work. So I'm going to use the standard, I guess I should label this here. Let me rename this. Wheel to tire, or tire to wheel. Tire to wheel. There we go. Okay. I'm going to do 3 planer mates. Okay? Planer mates. Sound good? Yes, say yeah? The first planer mate I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the same 2 surfaces I clicked on. So I'm going to click on this surface, this lip right here. Yes, say yeah? Click on that. And then I'm going to click on this surface here. Why did I pick those surfaces? There's no guarantee that this goes all the way to the bottom of the hole. There's no guarantee that that's the case, right? It could be shorter. there's no guarantee the top of these circles touch the tops of these holes. They might not go in that far. There's no guarantee, right? But we do know for a fact that that lip right there rests on the wood. Then I'm going to do another mate, planar mate. I'm going to mate one side of the connector to one inside of this hole, okay? You'll notice now it only moves in one dimension, one direction. I've applied two constraints. I got to apply one more, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to pick one side, another side of the connector, and another side of the wood. And that's it. It's locked in perfectly. Questions? So this is the same logic as the puzzle cube. It's just that the puzzle cube pieces were very boring, bland, cube-shaped-ish things. These pieces are not necessarily boring and bland. They're certainly not cubes. But the same logic applies. You're using 3 planar mates to lock in the joint of 2 pieces. You're constraining their relative motion in 3 spatial dimensions, 1 dimension with each planar mate. And that's why we have to have 3 of them per joint. I'm going to show all this again. And I'm going to show all of this again with the windshield or the base plate going inside the main body section. So the windshield is going to fit in there. I guess I can go insert the passenger base. The passenger base also is going to go in there. Okay? So how do I do this? 3 planar mates. I'll line up this side with this side. Line up this side. That side. And then I just got to line up the bottom of each. Planar mate, click on the bottom of that. And I'll click on the bottom. Don't click on an edge. Make sure you're clicking on a plane. The bottom of that. And that's now locked in there. Really pay attention to the shapes. Make sure that it's in the correct orientation. So like my star is in the right spot, so that means the other 3 are too. Now you can try and do a fasten with that kind of stuff. But I don't think there's anything that's going to work out super reliable there. We've kind of already shown that. And then you'll just continue doing planar mates. These are all 1 through 6, so my recommendation is rename them. So I got 3 connector to body. So I'm going to name them connector to body 1, 2, 3. Base plate to body. You could also do X, Y, and Z. If you paid astute attention to which dimension you restricted the motion, then you can name these X, Y, and Z instead of 1, 2, 3. Questions? All right. Well, I'm going to stop the stream then.